It was a beautiful Friday afternoon in mid-March of the year 2020. I was getting ready to go to work. You know, I'm one of Nairobi's finest corporate MCs. What do I say? So as I was getting ready, just looking at myself in the mirror, I'm like, what we do as MCs or public speakers, that we imagine how you guys will just go wild when you see us and say, hi, good evening. So as I was doing my prep, pakai mafuta, and then that thing you do where you spray the air and then you walk into the, yeah? So that was me. So as I was getting ready, just pakai mafuta like this, my phone rang. And when I answered, it was one of the ladies, the event organizers for the event I was going to MC. And what she said was, Jason, don't come. And before I could protest, Kenyans, you have to, how can you guys do this? Do you know who I am? She said, Gava has shut down everything. Now, at this moment, I looked for the TV remote, switched on the TV, and it's when I came across this famous quote, that if we continue to treat this disease normally, it will treat us abnormally. But the truth is, this thing had already started treating me abnormally. Because what I had never realized before then, until this point, is that for Jason Runo to make money, people had to gather, either through corporate MC work or hosting, Because You Said So, Nairobi's favorite improv comedy show. Thank you. So, quite literally, all my sources of income just kaukad like. So the first few days and months of the pandemic were fun. I remember you ladies were doing that challenge for the brush. You know that I'm talking about? Where you start with like a nice dress with matutas like this, and then you take the brush, you do this, and then, wow. You guys know how much banana bread you made? It was nice. When it started, it was a bit of fun. But then as time went by, things got increasingly tough. T for tough. And I remember after a couple of months now, things were obviously like really tough. And I was starting to get really stressed. I went to bed so stressed, just wondering, what am I going to do? And that night, I had a dream. Now, I have to put a disclaimer. It wasn't one of those dreams where, the clouds part, an angel comes down, and it's like, Jason, peace be with you. No, it wasn't one of those. It quite literally was a dream I could have ignored totally. But in my dream, a bee appeared to me. And it was hovering at around this height, looking at me. And what the bee said is that, Jason, have no fear. If you take care of us, we will take care of you. And when I woke up in the morning, I was like, wait a minute. Watu wanahoma, watu wanakufa, watu are very conscious about their health. Maybe selling honey may not be a bad idea. So I woke up, went straight to all major supermarkets. Straight, okay, those days, okay, it wasn't straight, because you remember you had to get gloves, sanitizer. But you get the picture. I went straight to the honey aisle, just checking, just thought I'd get a price points. And I did a little bit of research, and I found somewhere I could buy honey in bulk. But because I was also living La Vida Broca, I went on to a WhatsApp group of close friends, and I was like, hey guys, I know things are tough, but if anyone has some money they can spare, I have a random business idea I would like to try out. That day, a friend of mine sent me 12,000 shillings. With the 12,000, I went, bought honey in bulk, bought some nice glass jars, repackaged, put the picture on my socials, and I was like, honey available. And I would put this honey in my rucksack and literally go delivering to people who had slid into the DM saying, oh, we need some honey, we need some honey. And that day I went home with 40,000 shillings. So I did this quite a bit over a long time, and things were picking up. And now, at some point, I had to sell my fancy motorbike, and now bought one for work. You know, one is like a box. A 100cc Yamaha bike. But as I was delivering, Kenyans, you ask so many questions. Hii asali ni ya wapi? Mbona ile ingine ilikuwa na taste tofauti? Hii color na ile ingine siyo same? So it became quite obvious I needed to get some learning or training about honey. So what I did is I found out there was a training somewhere, a one-day training on beekeeping in Machakos County, sides of Yatta. And me with my 100cc Nduthi, all the way. And I remember that day I was rained on. But I met a man who changed my life. This guy was called like me, Mr. Nganga. And he was a walking encyclopedia of beekeeping. And I remember when we got to the practical part of the beekeeping, he had this hive with all these angry bees around, and he was just so calm and so cool. And then he looked at us and said, do you guys want to see the queen? And we were like, yeah, yes, teacher. And then he just buried his head in there. And I kid you not, he said this, madam, kuna wageni hapa wanataka kukuona. Tafadhali kuja tu wasalimie kidogo. And I promise you, when he lifted his head like this, he had the queen in his hand. Now, even spotting the queen from a very active and strong colony is not an easy thing, even for some seasoned beekeepers. And the other thing, this guy didn't even wear gloves. He had no protective. He only wore the bee suit, but without the gloves. And then he was holding the queen. Can you see the queen? Do you see how her abdomen is a bit elongated? You know, and I was like, wow, I want to be this guy. So obviously, a one-day training is not enough to make you like a Mr. Nganga. So what I did after that is I registered at the National Beekeeping Institute 3 times. I did the same course over a period of time, many times, just because I really, really wanted to learn. Now, this is where my journey into beekeeping really, really started. And I remember once having a meeting with my friend, Baraka Mwaura. I had to give him a shout out, and I was like, bro, you know, beekeeping is yada, yada, beekeeping. And I told him, yeah, but I really want to start, and I need beehives. And he asked me, how much do you need? And that's how I acquired my first beehives, through a friend just being generous. So I took my beehives, took them to Nyahururu. Now the thing in Nyahururu, I had a piece of land, but no house. And I built a nice community of local farmers who became my boys. They literally came together, built me a mabati house. And it was during this time that I not only sharpened my beekeeping skills and also seeing what beekeeping can do for a community, because every day the farmers would come to my house, meeting point, we drink tea, then we go to the beehives and just spend the day there, learning, observing the bees. These guys were really, really kind. It was also the first time that I got to spend time with Jason as Jason. Because that house had everything else minus network and electricity. So as soon as the farmers say goodnight to you at 6:30 and you get into your house, hey, it was just till the next morning. I got to meet Jason again. I got to mourn my late mom because she passed in 2019, and 2018 were quite busy years. BYSS was picking up, I was hosting all these events for these big corporates. So I don't think I had. Now when I look back, it makes sense. I didn't have time to kind of process. And it was now here in Nyahururu that I had the time now to process and, think about all these things. One of the beehives that I got, there was a farmer who was really, really nice to me, and I gifted him a beehive. The very next day, I didn't even ask him, I didn't even tell him, I saw him carrying a tree seedling to go and plant. You see, the thing with bees and beekeepers, they know that the environment directly affects their income. If you have a beautiful environment, it's really nice, the honey will also be great. I don't know if you know this, but how bees make honey is that they go to the flowers, collect the nectar in their tummy. They have 2 stomachs. They carry in the honey stomach, go back to the beehive, then regurgitate into the honeycombs. So basically, mnakula matapiko ya nyuki. So all the qualities of honey, from the color, the consistency, the taste, is literally the environment. So when you taste honey, you're tasting a place. After that, I started now traveling the country, just teaching beekeeping. I was so amazed how I could go to a community, introduce this concept of beekeeping, and before you know it, just their lives have changed, I once went to a children's home here in Ngong. They have a lot of beehives, and they were not producing anything. And the only piece of advice I gave to them was, please, just take care of your environment. Let's plant as many flowers as possible. And in a span of 3 months, they went from harvesting about 80 kilos from about 100 hives or so to about 400 kilos, just like that, just by simply taking care of the environment. Bees have opened the craziest opportunities for me that I never imagined possible. One of them is that I spent my 20s traveling the world, thanks to my job as a flight attendant then. But beekeeping has helped me to travel this country. We have such an amazing country with such beautiful people. I have learned so much from traditional beekeepers. For example, the Maasai. This guy, as I'm wearing my bee suit, him is removing his shukas. And I'm like, are we going to the same beehives? He's like, unajua, nyuki ikipata pahali iko nguo, iko pahali pa kusimama, kwa hivyo nadunga wewe. Lakini kama ni ngozi, ina slide. Or when I worked with the Samburu and got to experience that when they install a beehive, they actually sing a song to welcome the bees. Lotoro, 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 lotoro. These people have clearly understood that taking care of bees is actually literally taking care of themselves. In December, I had the opportunity to travel to Elgeyo Marakwet, and we were working deep in the Cherangani forest with traditional beekeepers. And one thing they said to me is that every tree that has a beehive is assigned to a family, and they will take care of that tree. They only harvest at a particular time of the year when they see a particular flower has flowered and then it dies. Then they know that the beehives have honey. But as long as that tree exists and the beehive on that tree belongs to you, it's your duty and your responsibility to take care of that tree. And now that tree, the father will pass it on to the son, and the son will eventually pass it on to the son, like that, like that. Traditional beekeepers are truly, truly the guardians of our forests. Bees have also really, really inspired me because I have seen how a young man like one called Kelly Kemboi in Wasungishu, someone I have mentored for about a year, is now traveling the country also teaching more young men and youth groups about the importance of bees. I'm inspired by people like two ladies, one called Priscilla and Grace, young ladies who came to Moranga, to my farm, to learn about beekeeping and went back home to Kitui to start their own beekeeping enterprise and are now helping young people and the community in beekeeping. I often think about my dream and I think of someone like Sir Isaac Newton. You know, do you ever wonder why he was sitting under that tree? Like, was he bored? Had he been dumped? Because think about the circumstances under which you just go sit under a tree. Either you've been walking for long, you're tired, then you see this tree, and there's a shade, and you're like, oh, yeah, maybe I should rest here. But whatever the circumstances, that falling down of the apple, he got his curiosity. Most of us would have just eaten it, if you're being honest. But the fact that he let his curiosity take him into this rabbit hole of why? I could have easily ignored my dream. Easily. There are worlds of opportunities out there. But it's important that you allow yourself that silence first, because we say prayer is talking to God, but meditation is listening to God. So allow yourself as much alone time and just allow your curiosity to take you where it will take you, because it could open the most insane doors for you. I have been interviewed by global networks like CNN, BBC, and I didn't go looking for them. They're the ones who came looking for me. I've done many things. Not even because of BYSS, because of beekeeping, just because I followed, literally, a dream. Ladies and gentlemen, I have since opened a business whose sole mission is to educate consumers about bees and about honey, but also to empower farmers. I believe the most important way to empower farmers is to directly put money in their pockets. You remember the farmer I told you who was carrying a seedling to go plant? I have also seen one cutting down a tree to burn charcoal so that he can sell, because next week his son goes to school. And that's a reality on the ground. So it's not that they don't know about global warming and all these beautiful things, or it's not that they don't know. But as we say in Kenya, kwa ground. Mtoto next week lazima aende shule. Now, do I keep this tree because of global warming, or do I cut it so that my son can go to school? So I believe that the best way to empower farmers is to put money directly in their pocket. My business is called OK Honey Market, and that's my mission, to just educate you about honey and the beauty of bees and why we must pay attention to them. Because I don't know if you know this, but every third spoon of food you eat, thanks to a bee. So next time, even when you eat, you're like, 1, 2, asante nyuki. And I'm really, really happy that bees have given me a new lease of life. Even my 5-year-old daughter is such a competent and amazing beekeeper. My name is Jason Runo, but they also call me El Nyuki. Thank you.